So I know that the theme for your conference is all about integrity and making good life choices, and the role integrity plays in excellence, not just in academic excellence, but also as a leader, as a member of society, as a member of your community. Excellence and integrity, those go together. What I'm going to talk to you about are really three different areas. I'm going to talk about a little bit about my own life story. I'm going to talk about choices we can all make. And I know for some of you in Form 4 and those of you who are following behind in Form 3, you're thinking about how to make the most of your time before you transition into that next step, whatever that next step is. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about living a life with purpose and what that might mean. So please, I welcome you to think about what I'm saying, but also to take down some questions, and we'll have a very engaging session. Most of our time together is going to be around interacting and for me to listen to your questions, to listen to your ideas, and where I can to make some suggestions. So let me first begin with the Mastercard Foundation, which I am privileged to lead. We are a foundation that is based in Canada, in Toronto, but we are a global foundation. And for the past 10 years, we made a decision that we would work almost exclusively in Africa. And we work in over 30 countries on the continent. And Kenya is a very, very important country because Kenya was one of the countries where we began as a young foundation. We believe that everyone, no matter where you start out in life, no matter how modest the circumstances, everyone deserves an opportunity to succeed, to learn, to make something of themselves, and to contribute to the prosperity of their community and of their country. All of us need opportunities, and there can be no more deserving young people than the young people right here in this hall. Now, so we work with organizations like Equity Group Foundation and Equity Bank to create programs like Wings to Fly, which offer opportunities for young people to access education, mentoring, skills, new ideas, but also an opportunity for you to start practicing leadership. Leadership in big and small ways. So I was really excited when people put up their hand when Dr. Mwangi asked who is already taking on leadership. That is excellent. But leadership doesn't mean that you have to be at the top of an organization or at the top of a group of people. Leadership can also occur at a personal level, at an individual level, when you volunteer in church, in your community, when you mentor someone. That's leadership. That's leadership. Now, all of us here, we know the power of education. We know that education creates opportunities to learn, to develop ourselves, to also to contribute, to improve ourselves and to improve the lives of all of us, or all of those around us. So the education that you are being afforded through Wings to Fly, wherever you are, in whatever school you're at, are opportunities for you to make a big difference, and to make a big difference to society. And I will speak more about that later. I think everybody here can appreciate and respect the value of hard work. Nothing in life that is truly valuable comes without hard work. And for every opportunity that's presented, in order for that opportunity to be realized, each of us must invest something personal. And that personal piece is commitment, dedication, resilience, endurance, and hard work. And I know this because, like you, I also completed my education through the power and the gift of a scholarship. Actually, several scholarships. So when I grew up, and I grew up in a country called Malaysia. I don't know how many of you know where Malaysia is. If you know where it is, can you raise your hand? All right, we have to study geography. Okay, good. That's great. So I grew up in Malaysia, and when I was 14 years old, my father died, and so it was left to my mother to educate my brother and myself. She was very determined in a situation which was quite difficult to ensure that I had an education. So I would say that my first scholarship was my mother's scholarship. And it is a scholarship that was born on sacrifice, hard work, and her sheer determination that her daughter, that a girl, would get an education. And that was the best gift that she could give. And so I came to the United States on my mother's scholarship to finish secondary school, the last 2 years of senior high. And I lived with a family. I lived with them for 2 years. And I won a scholarship to go to a small college. And that scholarship took care of my tuition. It took care of my room and board. But I had to work to ensure that I had some pocket money. And so I worked in the cafeteria. I worked for professors. I worked for other students so I could make some money which would help me with the things my scholarship did not cover. And the path from there led to another scholarship when I went on to graduate school to do my master's degree. That process then led to entering the workforce. And I want to tell you something which may seem unusual for someone who may look outwardly very successful. When I started out in terms of graduate school, the path, after I graduated, the path was not a straight one. I watched my friends, who were my classmates, get very good jobs. They seemed so confident. They were making money right away. And I felt so unsure, so insecure, unsure of my place in the world. I put out applications for jobs, and I have to say I was rejected more times than even being called for an interview, many times. And finally, through perseverance and a lot of networking, even going door to door, knocking on doors, someone gave me an opportunity. Can you still hear me? Okay. Someone gave me an opportunity, and I started working at the United Nations. And I was there for 2 years. I thought this was going to be my dream job, something I had always imagined. But in the process, I discovered something about myself, that this was not the place for me. And so I started looking again, even though I was still working. And again, there were a number of rejections. And then I met someone, a woman at a corporation, who took a chance, who gave me an opportunity. And that began my corporate career. And it was that job, it was at a healthcare company, that brought me to Africa for the very first time in 1991. And if that had not happened, if that door had not opened, I think my life would have taken a very different path. And so my work became my classroom. And coming to Africa, traveling to Europe, traveling to South America, I never ever imagined that was the path I would be taking. And so I was fortunate along the way. There were people who I looked for, who became my mentors, who gave me advice, and I listened when they gave me advice. I did not always agree, but I listened to what they had to say. And so in a very unexpected, almost circuitous way, almost unplanned, but yet wonderful, I just didn't know it, all that part of my journey was preparing me for my work today at the Mastercard Foundation. So which is why I can be with you here today at this moment. But that journey, oh, thank you. But that journey, it was not a straight path. It required hard work, a lot of hard work, but it also required an openness, faith, courage to know that something better was lying ahead. Something better, as long as I was open to that opportunity. So the one big lesson I wanted to share, just from my own story, is that success in life is not the absence of failure. In fact, I challenge you to meet anyone who has been successful, who has not failed, and not just failed once or made mistake once, but many times. But what is unique about people who are successful is they pay attention. They learn where they went wrong. They learn why they made mistakes. They learn from every setback. Every setback is a teacher. Is a teacher which enables you to move ahead and to become a better person. And it's okay in life to make mistakes as long as we are open enough to ourselves to understand and to reflect and to think about how can we do better. So I know now many of you are thinking about your exams and you're thinking about what's next, and you have a short period of time. So I want to offer 3 things. The first is, remember, time. Time is a friend. Whether that time is 1 month or 6 months, time is a friend if you are intentional about how you use that time. So in order to improve academic performance, for those of you who are thinking about how can I improve my grades, now's the time to take advantage. I know that in many of your schools you have tutors, you have study groups, you have other levels of academic support available to you. In fact, there are more than 3,000 of you here. Each of you can also help each other to succeed. The first thing is to do is to ask for help and to identify which subjects, whether it is mathematics, whether it is chemistry, biology, history, language, identify where it is you are having some challenges and be very specific and ask for help. Ask someone to spend 15, 20 minutes. Ask another student who is doing really well in that subject to explain something to you which you're having difficulties with. And they're not doing this as a favor. Actually, you're doing a favor to them. If they're doing well in a subject and they can explain it, you're helping them even master their subject even better. So number 1, remember, time's a friend. Be intentional with that time and identify the areas in your studies where you need specific attention. 2, you're in school not just only to become good students. You're in school to develop leadership skills, and that is what Wings to Fly is all about. So for those of you who are already in clubs, those of you who are participating in school projects, those of you who have personal projects in your community, fantastic, congratulations. For those of you who are not yet fully involved, now's your time to get involved. To get involved so you learn how to listen, how to work in a team, how to develop a plan, how to identify a problem, how to create solutions, and how to activate your plan. That is part of leadership. Now, I've noticed everybody here has a notebook, so I am going to give you an assignment. So if you have your pen ready, I'm going to give you an assignment. I want you to write down 3 questions. The first question is, where was I in Form 1? You're asking yourself a question. Where did I start in Form 1? Who was I? Your second question is, where am I now? Where am I today? And your third question is, what have I learned about myself? So where did I start in Form 1? Where am I today? And from Form 1 till today, what have I learned about myself? And by this question, I mean, have you discovered something about yourself? What are my strengths, you could ask yourself. What are the areas I do really, really well? I'm passionate, I love. It comes to me naturally. What are the areas I need to develop? There are some weaknesses, some gaps. How can I strengthen them? If you were standing in front of Dr. Mwangi, or you're standing in front of me to ask me for some responsibilities, what would I need to know before I could give you and trust you with responsibility? Think about that. Now, there's no grade for this assignment, but I ask you to take it seriously, because it's not about a grade. It is about your own self-assessment, about your strengths, and once you have some answers, I'd like you to discuss your answers with your mentors, with a friend, with a teacher. Discuss them. All of us have taken different paths at different points in time. All of us will have different journeys, but there's something that's constant in all of these journeys, and that is you. That is who you are, what your values are, what your character is, and how you will learn to operate with integrity. So let me talk a little bit about character. Now, character has nothing to do with positions of, and especially nothing to do with positions of power. Character is about fundamentally, what do you believe in inside? What are the values that you have taken from your family, from your community, that make you who you are? I will share a few values which form the character of the Mastercard Foundation. The first is humility. And some people may think, humility? For such a big organization, for such important people, humility? Humility is a superpower. Don't forget that. Humility is a superpower. Humility does not mean being weak or meek. Humility is about the ability to be confident and comfortable with who you are. But humility exists to teach us to be open, that we don't know all the answers in life. We don't know everything there is to know. Humility teaches us that we need to learn. Learn about ourselves, learn about others, but most importantly, learn about a subject we're interested in for our careers, learn about problems we want to solve. You cannot solve anything without humility. Humility is another form of respect. Respect for problems, respect for oneself. The second value I wanted to talk about is listening. Humility and listening go hand in hand. Oftentimes we meet people and they seem to know all the answers. They're ordering everybody to tell you what to do, how to solve problems, but they don't always seem to listen. it's impossible to understand problems without developing a skill to listen deeply, to listen with attention, to pay attention when someone is speaking to you, to pay attention to things that are occurring around you. Listening is important. The third value, which is really critical as well, which is simple, all of us can do it, is kindness. Kindness. And I say kindness because it's free. It comes from within. And kindness could be smiling at someone who's having a tough day. Kindness could be listening to a friend who's having a difficult time. Kindness could be kindness to a stranger, just saying thank you. Just acknowledging presence. Great leaders are humble. They listen, and they're kind. And the fourth piece, value, is striving for results. This word may mean different things, maybe excellence, impact, striving for purpose in life. It's hard to be purposeful if you don't have the other three with you. I could speak about many, many other values, but these I hold dear. And I want to talk about these values. If you imagine that you're a tree, your values are the roots of a tree, and they anchor you, they hold you. They tell you what you're going to stand for, absolutely what you're going to stand for, particularly in a difficult time of the world when we might be tempted by others who seem to be very fortunate. They have material wealth, they have influence, they seem to have all the good things in life. And you may be tempted to emulate what they have. But inside of you, you need to make sure you listen to your own voice about what's right, what's wrong, what resonates with you. Each of you, I have no doubt, are going to do something exceptionally meaningful in your life, meaningful for your families, but only you can choose that path. And so be guided by your own values. Now, sometimes, I know I'm much older than all of you, so I wanted to talk about 3 young people who have also been Wings to Fly scholars, who are graduated, who are following different paths. The first is a young man by the name of Omar, who graduated from Kenyatta High School, and because of his grades, he decided that he would become a peer mentor. And so he is guiding and mentoring young people who are going into vocational education. Now, Omar also had to deal with a health challenge. And because of his experience, he has become a passionate advocate for other young people who are dealing with health issues like he experienced. He's saving money for college. He wants to go to college and to earn a degree in business management. But one of his deep passions is ensuring that young people get the counseling and the mentoring that they need. There's another young woman by the name of Gladwell who graduated from high school in Nakuru. She has been fascinated by her subject, and her subject is around geothermal exploration, geothermal engineering. So she is right now at Kabete National Polytechnic. She would like to start her own business in Baringo County. But she is also very, very keen on inspiring other young men and women to look at green and other technologies. And then there's a young man who I stay very close to by the name of David, who is from Migori County. I was there at the very first selection for Wings to Fly when I was with Migori County. And David worked hard, and he went through high school, and he won a Mastercard Foundation scholarship to go to Arizona State University in the United States. And so he's busy focusing on his education, but together with 4 other scholars, David is supporting the education of other young people. All of them are Wings to Fly scholars. They are recipients of the same educational opportunity that you have. All of them have chosen different paths, and all of them are on the road to be successful. So I know that you have a long road ahead of you. Sometimes it's hard to imagine where that road will take you, or what your purpose is in life. I hope you reflect on the 3 questions that I've posed to you. I hope you think about what they might mean. In time, you will find, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you are in university, whether you're in graduate school, whether you're in the school of work, people are going to ask you the same 3 questions. They're going to ask you, where were you 5 years ago? And where are you now? And what have you learned about yourself? Think of these questions as your compass. It's a compass to help guide you at certain moments to stop, to reflect, and to talk to someone, especially a mentor, especially a teacher, a colleague, someone who you respect. When you write down the answers, talk to them about your answers, because in that conversation, you're going to discover something else you may not have thought about. So all of you here are part of an incredible movement, which we call Wings to Fly. But this is much more than a scholarship. This is about building community. This is about building leadership. Leadership that leads with integrity. I know all of you are working hard. I know that all of you will live a life with purpose, guided by your values. So good luck. I'm looking forward to your questions. Thank you.